All right, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Texas Dad. I'm here with Texas Mom.
Yes, he is. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited and comfortable to be in this new YouTube studio.
And the children are doing childrenly
Oh,
things.
it's so nice to have our own
And-
space. So before we get started, let's just give a big shout out to our boys' little farm shop called TheTexasBoys.com. Over there, you can find all kinds of
Goodies.
good things, honey. There's cinnamon honey, there's pumpkin spice honey, there's lots of teas, there's lots of mushroom drinks, healthy mushroom drinks.
There's funny t-shirts.
There's lots of great t-shirts, homeschool t-shirts, and awake t-shirts, and what else do we have over there? Coffee, lots
We
of
got
coffee.
it all.
Yes, so go check it out. It's a great way for you to support the channel and get something for yourself. Win, 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 win.
That's it. Inside Texas Mom joke.
We're talking about an evaluation of our preparedness thus far. We just thought it's coming towards the end of the year, right? We're getting towards the
Very
end
close.
of the year, right?
It's closing in a very rapid fashion.
It is. And I'm thinking, what a great time to sit down, reassess where we are in our preparedness, in our mindset, just kind of where we are, just overall, with our farm, all of those kinds of things. So
My mindset is I have an insane mindset. I think I'm going insane. Or maybe that's just the world around me.
it's gonna be a long evaluation
That's
process
my mindset.
here this evening. We're gonna try to stay focused.
Focus, mommy.
So, just some basics. You know, when you think about preparedness, we think about the basics of food, water, shelter, those types of
Winter
things.
heat, yeah.
Right, absolutely. Warmth, right.
Provision.
Provisions, yes.
You know, just like I like to refer to prepping as adulting. You know, it's just being an adult, analyzing your surroundings, seeing what you need, and then preparing accordingly.
Right.
And I don't know when that became prepping. It used to just be adulting and being a grown up and being able to see past the end of your own nose.
Well, I mean, and in your early younger years, you really are, when you're just getting started in life, you are kind of more needy. You're more living, I don't want to say paycheck to paycheck, but
No, that is very true. I
You're-
mean,
you're-
obviously, and there's even older folk now. I mean, we can incredibly sympathize with all y'all that are absolutely paycheck to paycheck, or maybe even a little
Yes.
bit behind the eight ball. I mean, we've been there a couple different times
Yes.
in different states, and you know, we can absolutely relate to it. So, you know, and I mean, I think that's the whole thing is when it comes to life, not preparedness, not prepping, but when it comes to life, here's the reality: you can't do it all at once.
absolutely.
You know, you do what you can, where you are, with what you got, and you do what you can. You do the best you can.
Right.
You leave the rest up to God.
That's right.
And don't be stupid.
That's
and,
right.
And don't waste money on stupid stuff. And try to plan ahead. Try to look ahead. Ask God for wisdom. Pray a lot. Study a lot. You know, and the preacher was talking about today, the sons of Issachar, and they had an understanding of the times. And that's what, I mean, I quote that verse a lot because, you know, if you have an understanding of the times, that's what we're seeing right now, y'all, is we're seeing, you know, like this potential diesel shortage if
Yes.
production stops, you know, and how do you plan ahead for that? Well, you know, don't be heating with fuel. That's one way to plan ahead. So heat with wood. Have a couple horses if you want to go somewhere. I mean, if we run out of diesel, everything stops.
Yes.
So, I mean, everything. So it's not like it's going to affect this. No, it's going to affect
Yes.
absolutely everything.
Life as we know it.
Supply
will.
chains stop.
Absolutely.
so any type of food store that requires on time, I mean, everything stops, y'all. So, do you honestly prepare for that? I mean, that is truly cataclysmic. So
Yes.
I don't think you really prepare for it. But I mean, if you are where you can shelter in place and you have 3 or 4 months of provision and you have a horse and you want to try, ride around on horseback, you can absolutely do that. I think there's some wisdom in that. Um, and it's neat because like if you have horses, they can double as a leisure time activity.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think most people have horses in their preps. So
no, but it's multi-purpose. Doug was
We're-
talking about having horses in his prep.
yeah,
so.
I think that's a very narrow category of people that have horses in their preps.
I like horses.
Absolutely. I love our horses too. So when we look at our situation, because everybody's situation is very specific to them, right? If we were preparing for just you and I, it would look very different, right?
Yeah.
So
It would be so easy. I like these people that prepare and it's just like them and their wife, or it's just them, which, I realize that's kind of a lonely life. So there's that. But it's kind of funny when people, I mean, it's like the people that watch our channel and think that we're like so prepared or whatever. I'm like, we got 6 kids that never stop consuming food. When the sun cracks the horizon and the calories start to,
yes,
it's incredible, y'all.
they're growing. They're
growing. It's incredible.
They're
y'all.
growing children. And I do think
That
that
doesn't make me feel any better.
I think that, we have learned that, like, I mean, you can do intermittent fasting. I've done some fasting even for several days, and it's a really good, healthy habit, I think, to get into fasting. Obviously, that's not for children that
Not
are
necessarily.
growing.
Yes and no. I mean, there's an incredible amount of wisdom in intermittent fasting. There's an incredible amount of wisdom in creating the habit of eating once or twice a day. Because here's the reality, y'all. Growing children, not growing children, the majority of the world eats 1 meal a day.
Right.
And that's a reality.
They don't eat 3 full meals until
3
they're stuffed.
full meals and graze in
Plus
between.
snacks.
And yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, as far as preparedness and preparing and being able to stretch your calories, there's an
Yes.
inordinate amount of wisdom in eating less. And that sounds so rudimentary and so but there's so much wisdom in that.
There is, and it's something that I don't think that most people consider. I know I hadn't really considered it too deeply until I started doing some longer term fasting, and that realization of you don't really need, as an adult especially, I don't really need all of this food every single day. And then, yeah, those words of my grandmother coming back to me of like, they had a cup of tea and some bread, like a piece of toast for breakfast, and
that was kids and all, y'all.
a little bit of butter on it or something. Like it was
3
nothing.
square meals a day. The majority of the world didn't eat breakfast. Okay,
Right.
Breakfast is a machination of the grain industry, along with all the Cheerios and everything like that. Like normally, breakfast was not eaten. Very predominantly, it was lunch and supper. What my father referred to as dinner
Right.
and supper. My dad called lunch dinner.
Yeah.
And you ate 2 meals a day, and a very large portion of the world eats 1 meal a day.
Well, and they were like very simple meals. So, like, I know lunch might be like a big pot of lima beans and a piece of
Right.
bread.
Yes, exactly. It was like it was very non-complex.
Right. Or
it wasn't
like
a 5-course deal.
dinner would be like some chicken legs and a vegetable. Like it was like a very basic little plate of food. It wasn't this eat until I feel full kind of deal. It was just you ate to live, you didn't live to eat kind of deal.
That's true.
So that's been a big realization for me this year. I think I knew it, but that's been a big thing.
And a lot of what drives that perpetual graze are empty calories and non-nutritional calories that just aren't satiating your body's desire for highly nutrient dense
Right.
food, you know.
Or habit.
Yeah, or habit.
Just
Absolutely.
habit,
Yeah, yeah.
just basic habit. So I think if we just look at our food situation, I think we're probably, I'm just going to guess at about maybe a 6 month food storage. I do not think we're anywhere near close to a year of food
No, I
storage.
don't, and I don't think we're anywhere near
Six
6 months with the way that our children consume mass quantities.
Yes, but I mean, if we rationed it,
Correct. Yeah,
I think
it
we
would be
could
different. I
stretch
think we'd
it
have 3
to,
months.
yeah. Well, we have a lot of meat in the freezers.
Yeah, no, that's well, that's very true. No, we have we have an enormous amount of meat in the freezer.
So
That's true.
that's been a big.
I would say we have 6 months.
That's a big advantage this
I
year.
was completely discounting all the freezers of meat. Yeah.
Yes, and we're going to be adding one more freezer is going to fit into our room, and we rearranged that this year, and swapped out our laundry room space for a freezer room, and I think that was a really smart decision
Great
that
move.
we did.
Yeah.
It keeps all of the cooling in one place. It'll be easy to plug in a
We
generator.
have 2 backup generators that can. All of these freezers are smaller and they're very low draw. They're very efficient. So one Jenny will easily run, and we have 2 Jennies, and one's a dual fuel, runs on propane and gas. And people always want to talk about, and a lot of people are trying to sabotage your preparation by, well, you won't be able to run them for 36 months. Well, nobody, we're only preparing.
Sure.
Nobody is preparing for the apocalypse.
No,
y'all.
all we're
I'm just-
doing is
honestly
buying ourselves some time that we could get back to our feet and then hope to be able to figure out a plan from that point on.
Yeah, none of us honestly are prepping for societal collapse. I'm just, that's just straight up
Yeah.
honest. There are going to be hiccups. And there could be societal collapse and all those other things, but we're just not preparing for that.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
mean, is that stupid?
Sometimes I think so.
I don't think it's stupid in the sense of everything. If society collapses, and there's lots of prepper channel, and we're not a prepper channel, but if society collapses, there are so many variables. One, you can never prepare for all the variables, which
Right.
is when a lot of some of this preparation stuff, the polar shift and
Sure.
earthquakes and all this stuff. Now, and earthquakes are real, not here in Texas, but I mean,
Let's move on to water.
yeah.
So, water, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Well, yeah, our pond is our water backup source. We have different types of filtration systems that we can implement. We have a Berkey, and we did a Berkey video. We have an Alexa Pure. We have life straws. We have different systems that we can set up, and there's a lot of different homemade systems that you can make that are very effective. So we'll probably implement. We're supposed to be getting an aqua brick. I'm still waiting on that, but there's lots of different systems that are very inexpensive that you can implement and integrate, and we would be able to turn our pond water easily into drinkable, usable, potable water. So that's our water backup. And
Right.
and thank the Lord for this marvelous rain. Our pond is relatively full again, so that's a blessing.
Yeah, that's a huge blessing.
So sometimes you prepare by just digging a hole in the ground, y'all.
Well, a pond is a great way. And I mean, I know I've seen people even just pump the water out of the pond into water catchment and then put that strategically in different places to water their garden or water their animals. And, it does keep crossing my mind. Even yesterday, I was in town and Home Depot has the big, giant black water catchment tanks. And I'm like thinking, is this just a no-brainer? Like, should we just have some water tanks around the property until we dig a deep well, because that's on our list. That's on our wish list.
We have a shallow well, so there's that water, and there's an inordinate amount of water. That well pretty much won't run. We can tax that well since we made modifications to it. We would need to filter that water. That water. I said water. That water.
I don't know. I was just looking at those big black tanks thinking,
We are going to be investing in the gigantic investment that a deep well is.
Yes.
We're doing that sooner rather than later so that we can get rid of the...
community water.
Well, no, so we can get rid of the fiat currency before it is digitized into central bank digital currency. We're going to invest our paper into infrastructure.
Oh, we're investing money into providing water for our family.
Yes.
Okay.
We're buying a deep well that's stupid expensive.
Yes, it is. But that's okay. Water is a good thing
It's an
to
incredible investment.
invest our money into. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, but water catchment is still a thing. You know, we have friends that do water catchment.
Water catchment's great.
And they do solely that.
The problem is the way, the way that we developed our homestead here and the way that we zoned all of our, and now we have big children with big vehicles and tractors. So we have a very crowded homestead, which is kind of the way I don't, honestly, I wouldn't have I like the way it is. I don't want to change it. But, if you have these, we could be catching water off of the house. I mean, we could catch a lot of water off the house. But the problem is, and just so y'all know, the one end of our house, the gutters are plumbed to the pond. So we are catching water coming off the house. But to throw that water into tanks, you have these 1,500 gallon or 3,000 gallon tanks, and they got to have a footprint somewhere, and they're just going to be in the way. So
Right.
That's my beef with that. Is just you're going to have them, and then if you're not going to have them in the way, you're going to have them back somewhere, and you're going to have to pump to them and from them. So
I understand.
That's like my whole thing with that.
Yeah. I get it. So,
And to me, right now, it makes more sense. We have the generator. You plug in the well pump. We pump from there, and and that's like thousands and thousands and thousands of
right.
gallons.
It definitely takes care of the animals and
us. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And then the next thing is, the whole Berkey thing, right? We are going to have to test our water because we have a filtration system on our house, and we've never tested it. And
I did originally test it, yeah.
But I think we need to retest that.
I'll always. I mean, I think that's just wise, even whether it's a Berkey or whatever type of filtration system you're using. It's always good to annually look at it and test it. I think it just makes sense.
I mean, we've had our Berkey since our children have been babies. We have made formula with that Berkey water.
You just never know when you'll get a good one or a bad one or whatever. It doesn't, just because even if the company has good filters, it doesn't mean that you may or may not get a bad set of filters.
And we've spent a lot of money on those replacement filters over the years. A lot. We have several, and the fluoride filters that attach into there and scrubbing them off.
And we have a fluoride filter on our whole house system too. So.
Yes. But I'm excited to do that. I think that's definitely a goal for this coming year is water. I think that's a big priority. And
deep well is going to happen.
Yeah.
And whether or not, the reason we've been slightly holding off is I'm considering, a solar deep well pump, and maybe I'll retrofit that and do that later. I don't know. Maybe just bite the bullet, do it. I know it's going to max out our panel, and I know that I'm going to have to. So I'm going to be investing 20 or so grand into a well as long as I hit it at 500 feet, and then we're probably going to be investing in an upgraded panel service.
Well,
I'm not really looking forward to that, y'all.
Yeah.
That's an extra kick in the wallet.
I mean, what if we just had solar just to run the pump for now, the well pump, instead of whole house solar?
That's a discussion not for this video.
Yes. Lots of things to think about. Let's see. We talked about water. I big thing with shelter is this that I keep coming back to.
The YouTube studio?
Well, I mean, the YouTube studio is a huge blessing. The kids paid for this. The kids worked on it. They finished it out. They got it done. And it's just...
I highly recommend all y'all that watch this channel that you all invest in your own YouTube studio. And this one is, what is this, like 15 by 38?
Well, it's a very multifunctional studio. We have a lot going on in one space, but it makes it all doable because we've been trying to do all of this out of our house for so long.
Insanity, y'all.
With 8 people, it is really hard to find a quiet
This
spot.
is pleasant.
It's really nice.
And you don't have to get people to stink eye all the time. Like they're like, "Hey, we're just trying to live life, and you idiots got to film some dumb video."
I know, poor kids. But no, the thing that I was thinking about with shelter was a storm shelter. It just keeps coming back to me over and over and over.
Well,
we've endured so many tornadoes here over the years.
And, you know, the boys want to get this larger excavator to do some work on the new property. And as I was thinking about that, I'm like, well, depending on how long we have this X, you know, we could dig and we could do our own storm shelter.
I think that's a really good idea.
Pour a floor, stack some CMU, and then waterproof it. I mean, we could definitely do that. And if we did it the way we wanted to do it, it could double as a root cellar, so to speak.
Which would be fantastic because we have a field full of sweet potatoes out there that we need to harvest and we need to store somewhere. And we literally do not have a place to store them right now. And we used to store
them in the shop right here. And that worked great, you know, because it was a concrete floor and it stayed a very nice, cool temperature in here. But that's no longer the case.
Yes.
So I don't know where we're going to store all these sweet potatoes this year.
I'm not sure. I was thinking we were just going to have a wagon on the corner and be selling sweet potatoes because I don't know that we'd be able to store them this year. The storm shelter, I go back and forth with water versus storm shelter, but then I think that...
Oh, I mean, the storm shelter, even if we purchased one, would be $5,000 or $6,000. I mean, now granted, that's a chunk of money, but it's not that expensive. But, I mean, the well is going to be $20,000 to $30,000. You know, the well's going to be probably $25,000. The electrical service upgrade is probably going to be $5,000. It's going to be $30,000.
It's just such a peace of mind, though, because when those tornado warnings go through and you're just like, you know, scared.
Okay, listen. This YouTube studio is 16 on center and it's all spray foamed. And I promise you, and they haven't done a lot of testing with the spray foam, but the tensile strength, I mean, this becomes one unified structure. I would say that this right here, and the way that it's mounted to the slab, I bet you it wouldn't go anywhere.
I don't know.
And, you know, that's part of the reasons why I didn't want a bunch of windows in here as well. You know, I would, you know, I haven't done a lot of reading on that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm all about...
I don't want to be... Look, when some tornado comes, I don't want to be jumping in some hole. I'm just saying. I would be real interested in like a storm shelter / root cellar. It would definitely have to be multi-purpose.
I think so too, and I think having it as close to the house as possible makes a lot of sense.
That's the other tricky part.
Yes, because
that's the tricky part.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the important thing because that's just the reality of logistics, you know.
Well, I think we hit some great points to ponder and think about and discuss amongst yourselves. I don't think we have to make a 2-hour video here. I think we did a good job. Was there anything else you wanted to hit on? Any highlights, happy high notes, or any other ideas?
Yeah, so that's just kind of, I guess, a year-end review of where we're at with food, water, and shelter. They're just some basic things that we all have to consider when we're talking about prepping and when we're just talking about life in general. I think just being more prepared for what the future might hold. And we just thought it would be cool to sit down and just kind of reevaluate those 3 areas. We don't feel like we've arrived yet on any of those 3 areas. but just it's good to reevaluate and to have goals to move and press towards. Hope that something here was a blessing to you. I hope something here encouraged you. Maybe just take one area and work towards one thing at a time, and that's what we've done. And
sounds like a plan, Mama. All right. Well, I hope you all have a great day, whatever time it is where you're at, and we'll see you all in the next video.